Carolina here from Carolina's Crafts, and welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, please click that red subscribe button down below, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. So in today's video, I wanted to show you guys how you heat emboss. When I first started, it literally took forever for me to figure out what tools I need, what I need to buy, how this even like works. So I thought I would do a video detailed on this today. So heat embossing is basically when you put like a powder over something and you heat it up and it kind of embosses and the image is raised. So this is a card I made here. I heat embossed this whole entire saying right here, if you guys can see that. Just zooming in a little bit more so you guys can see that it's raised. You could feel this if you move your finger around it, and this is gold heat embossed right there. When you are heat embossing, you are not limited to just paper. Today, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to show you on paper, but you could heat emboss on so many different materials. You could heat emboss on plastic, but you do have to be careful with plastic because some plastics may melt easier than others. You could heat emboss on ceramic, on glass, on wood. There's so many different materials that you could heat emboss on, and it's pretty amazing. I've made mugs with heat embossing, and I do a lot of cards with heat embossing, so I want to show you guys the two different techniques that I know of that you could heat emboss. Before we go over that, I need to show you guys the materials. So one of the things you're going to need is a heating tool. I just have this Darice heating tool. I will have everything linked down below that I mentioned to you guys, including the tools that I use and everything. So you're going to need some kind of a heating tool. Some people say there's better ones than others, but I found that this one works very well for me. Then I have my little bin here of other tools that you use for heat embossing. One of the most important things that people really don't tell you about is this thing. I don't know what this is called, the powder tool, chalk tool, I don't know. I think there's chalk in here, but basically you would just rub this over your material, just some kind of chalk, and this helps prevent the powder when you are heat embossing to stick to the material that you're using. It helps prevent it to stick. If you still have some leftover sticking powder where you don't want it to go, you could use a brush. I just bought like a cheap makeup brush from the dollar store. This is by Wet n Wild, but any brush will work, so you could like remove any excess powder off of your material before you heat emboss it. Then there's also heat embossing pens. So I have these from Ranger. I will also have everything linked down below. I have one in clear and one in black. The black one is actually my preference because you could actually see what you're writing when you are writing with it. But these are embossing pens. Now, if you don't want to write anything by hand like you would need to with the embossing pens, you can use clear stamps. So I have a stamp of clear stamps that I will show you guys here today, but for clear stamps you're going to need the Versamark watermark stamp pad. Now this ink pad is just like sticky. If you get this on your fingers, it just feels a little sticky, and this is what the powder is going to adhere to when you stamp it onto your paper. And obviously with clear stamps you'll either need a stamping block like this, or if you have a Misty stamping tool, this will also work as well. I love this thing, by the way, guys. I will show you guys how to use both of them today. So let me show you the pen first. I'm gonna just wipe my paper down here with this chalk. You guys will see, if you guys don't use a chalk, you guys will see that it'll be very important later on to actually use. But let me show you guys. So I'm just gonna write thank you right here in my nice black pen. You do have to kind of write a little fast, and I'm trying, trying to get my nice calligraphy handwriting in here. Alright, so with this, you have to kind of work fast, but you're also probably just going to do one thing at a time. So I'm going to use gold embossing powder here. This is from Ranger, but I also have a Hero Arts one. I just prefer these embossing powders, and again, I will have links to these down below. So basically, just powder up the thing that you just wrote with your embossing pen. Then I just have a sheet of paper here that I creased down the middle, and I'm gonna take this and just tap off any excess. So by using that powder tool, I really don't have any excess on the outer edges. I don't know if you guys can see, but I really don't have any extra powder. That powder tool just prevents that. I actually do see a little teeny bit right here, so I'm just gonna brush that off. But for the most part, oh shoot, I see I brushed off a little bit right there. So now we have to actually go back in and put some more powder. Okay, So you do want to use like a rather thin brush for this, and you don't want to touch anywhere you did put the powder on. So now that I have that, it just looks like powdered, you know, and then I'm just gonna take this extra powder and I'm gonna put it back into my little container right here. So by creasing that paper ahead of time, it just allows for like a mess-free kind of, you know, embossing. So now that my powder is back in here, I'm just gonna take my paper again, and now I'm just gonna write the U part, and then I'm just gonna put powder over that. And I just really just lather it up and then tap it off, and that looks very good. So let's just put that aside and put my powder back in here. Now we're gonna plug this guy in, because you're gonna need your heating tool, because this is not embossed yet. This is literally just powder over a marker. You guys see that? So this is heat embossing for you guys. And obviously when you're doing this, you probably want to use a thicker paper. I'm just using like a thin piece of cardstock, but there might be some warping when you do this on paper. So you definitely want to use a thicker kind of cardstock. So that's one technique of doing it with a pen. Now I'm going to show you guys how you could do this with a clear stamp. So let me grab my clear stamp set right here. And I'll show you guys the silver color this time. We'll show you silver on one of them actually, and then I'll do a white one on another one. So I'm just grabbing a new clean sheet of paper here to put underneath my project. I just don't want to mix any of the colors. So let me grab a stamp. Let's do a thank you. Okay, so here I'm just gonna align my stamp onto this clear block. And I'm gonna take my powder tool and just put this on the side of the page now. We're gonna take the Versamark pigment ink, and I'm just gonna take the stamp and dip that in there. Then you're gonna put this onto your paper and just stamp it on real well. And you guys could kind of see it like it's like a clear looking thing now. So then you're gonna put the powder over it. And with this you have a little bit more time to lay your powder on. I find that the Versamark, it doesn't dry up that fast at all. And then you just tap it off, and then you have a thank you that's covered in silver powder right now. That looks great. So now I'm just gonna heat up my tool again and go over that thank you. And there is the thank you. Now with the Misty stamping tool, this is really cool because, well, you could make a whole bunch of cards in bulk like this actually, because all you have to do is open up your stamping tool. You lay down your paper however you want to organize. This one actually, we can't have it that long, so we're going to have it this way. And then I'm just going to lay these little magnets on top of here. Put this in the corner like so. Let me show you guys with another stamp. This time we'll do one that says happy birthday. So I'm going to align this where I want it on my page. So let's just put it like that, and then you close your Misty stamping tool and the stamp will adhere to this other side. So then I have my stamping tool right there. I'm also going to use the powder tool here because we don't want any of that excess going anywhere. I'm going to ink up my happy birthday right here. And we're just going to close this and stamp it onto my page. Okay, so then you have your happy birthday. I'm going to take another clean sheet of paper, and this time I'll show you one last one, and this one is in a white embossing powder. Then just tap it off, and you have a nice happy birthday. And before I do anything, I just like to put the powders back into their containers. I don't want it to get heated up by any chance. So we're just going to put that aside, and now let's heat up this happy birthday and show you guys what the white looks like. And there you guys have it. two different ways of doing embossing, one with a pen, one with stamping, and two different kind of stamp materials. Here's the gold embossing powder, the silver embossing powder, and then the white embossing powder. And this one has like a nice glossy finish to it, but there's also matte ones, so it just depends on what you want to purchase. So there you guys have it. There's a tutorial on how to heat emboss. Again, you don't have to use just paper. This was just the easiest for me to show you guys, but you can also emboss on plastic. Just be careful with that. Glass, ceramic, wood, and just pretty much any material you could find and you would like to emboss on. Again, I will have all of the links mentioned down below and linked down below of all of the materials that I used in this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to click that red subscribe button down below, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!